girl, and you can call me SoSo.
Hey guys, I'm Sonia aka SoSo Beleza, but you can call me SoSo. Now, welcome back to Call Me SoSo episode 2. You know, last week we were here, was it last week? No, it was actually 2 weeks ago. We were here, we were discussing the Tomelo interview, envious friendships, and girl best friends. Today, we're actually gonna talk about something else. If you've seen the title, then you probably have an idea of what we're gonna talk about today. Before we start all of that, let me give you guys the check-in question. The check-in question this week was, what is one thing you are grateful for?
So one thing I am grateful for is my friends, because they push me to be at my best.
Yeah, that is so cute. I can't lie, good friends are definitely something to be grateful for. That's one thing that a lot of people take for granted. But if you hear the amount of stories of fake friends, bad friends, jealous friends, you know that good friend that you have next to you, you'll be grateful for them. But as you know, it's April, we're nearing May, right? We're nearing summer. And if you guys go to school, or if you're like from year 7 to end of university, even masters or PhD, you will know that May is when all the exams are held. And a lot of people are preparing to drop businesses in summer, you know, parties, DJs, everybody's getting active for summer. And as you know, with all of this, people can start to feel a little bit overwhelmed. People can start to feel a little bit stressed out. I mean, like, even if you don't have exams, you might have a project, you might be working, you know, you might be doing something and you might be feeling a little bit stressed. You might be feeling like, oh my gosh, there's a lot on my plate, like this is a lot to handle. Or you might be feeling pressure to perform. So first of all, it is normal to be stressed. Whether that is because if you don't perform well, there's going to be consequences for your actions, or whether there's going to be no consequence and you just feel stressed, you just can't help it, you just feel stressed. It is normal to be stressed. That is something that is very common with a lot of people. But nevertheless, with this, I ask you guys, how do you feel about upcoming events? And I'm just talking about like summer in general, you know? And I didn't get any voice messages, but I did get some text messages. Someone said, excited. Me too. When I said, summer is too expensive, but the weather is good. Do you know what? You're so right. Last year, I was stuck in my house because whenever someone would be like, oh, Sonia, let's go out. £20. Sonia, let's go out. £50. That's how my money was rolling. My money was gone. By a certain time, I had to start telling people, hey, I can't lie, I'm not even ready to go out. My summer has ended, you know? And then obviously there's paying for the summer outfits, going to restaurants, going to the cinema, going to parties. I mean, I don't know. That depends if you're the party kind of person. You go to parties every once in a while, you know. And obviously, summer outfits, summer hairstyles. For me, summer nails as well. This summer, I will definitely be getting my nails done. I'm actually really excited for summer. Okay, but let's go back to the topic. I digress. Introducing today's topic. How to deal with stress. Now, I'm no expert, but take everything I say with a pinch of salt. And always do your research. I can give you guys some general tips on how to deal with stress and how I deal with stress as well. So before I give you guys tips, let me first ask you guys this. How do you manage your stress? This is actually something that I've been asking a lot of people this week. I asked people around me, my friends, my families, and it seemed to be a question that when I asked it, people didn't really know how to respond, because they were like, oh, how do I manage my stress? How do I deal with it? Some people told me that they just firm their way through it. They just take a deep breath and that's it. Some people ask themselves, why the heck are you stressed? And then that's it. Some people just live with it as a normal feeling, a normal emotion. But I do have some voice notes here for you today.
This might be contradicting, but it depends on what what I'm stressed about. So sometimes if I'm stressed about something like academics or just like life in general, I go to like social media to help me like forget about the situation temporarily. But if I'm stressed about like social media and like unreal expectations and all of that, I leave social media because it helps me kind of tune back to reality to realize that it's not real. So I don't know, it's kind of contradicting, but these two situations are what I do when I'm stressed. Depends on the type of stress for me. So it's either I leave social media or I go to social media.
Wow, that is quite insightful because it brings light to different perspectives. Person might say, oh, if you're stressed, do this. If you're stressed, do that. But truly, it really depends why you're stressed. Okay, but let me give you guys some tips today. Okay, so number one, I want you to all ask yourself, why are you stressed? Can you identify why you're stressed? I'm reading from Google here. One of the definitions of stress is a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or demanding circumstances. Another one is subject to pressure or tension. So stress is our body's response to pressure. You know, I heard somewhere that stress was when you feel like you're not up to the task. When you feel like you can't handle the amount of pressure that's being put on you. And I found that so interesting because I was like, truly, if I could handle the situation at hand, then I wouldn't be feeling the way I'm feeling. For example, to drink my water, like obviously like there's no stress attached because I know that I can pick this up and drink it. Let's say I had no water now and I was getting dehydrated and I knew that it would take me about 10 minutes to get to the water, but before that something could happen if I don't drink water. Oh, I would be stressed because there'd be pressure on me to try and get to the water. Deep down, you might know the reason that you're stressed. This situation is too much for me and oh my gosh, what can I do? But self-awareness is the first step. Because one time I realized that I was stressed because I didn't trust that my future self would carry out the task when it needed to be done. So I tried to do it all at once. So that's another example. So number two, is the situation within your control? Is there something you can do that will mean, okay, cool, this situation is solved? If yes, then why are you stressed? Is it because you don't believe you can carry it out? Is it because you don't know if it will work? Now, if there's nothing you can do and is completely out of your control, then why are you stressed? It doesn't matter what you do. If it's not in your control, you can't manipulate it. Let me give you guys an example. And this is a less serious example. You know, when I started posting YouTube shorts, I would post something that I thought was amazing. It would get no views. So I changed up my content, right? It started getting a few views. So I started posting that kind of content quite frequently and it was getting, alright views. But then one day I posted one of them and boom, it skyrocketed to more than I expected. If you look, you might be like, oh, so like that's small. But to me, that was a lot. And I was just like, wow. I posted the next one, it didn't gain as much traction. Cool. Here, the thing I couldn't manipulate was my views. Yeah, maybe some may say, okay, but the content was more interesting, but it was more this. But at the time, I was trying to control how many views and stuff I got. But I had to quickly realize that the algorithm, what my audience likes, all of that, I can't control which videos those are going to be. So all I need to do is keep posting videos. And if my audience likes it, I will grow. This doesn't mean don't do anything. Every day, I always say, just do a little bit better than what you did yesterday. Make sure to improve with every single video, with every single effort, with every single time I put something out, I will improve. In doing that, maybe that's the reason that my views went crazy to me. Maybe not. This one, I actually say this one quite a lot. I always talk about taking breaks and distracting yourself from the stress. Every time I used to be stressed in the past, I used to always think to myself, oh my gosh, the time I'm using to take a break, the time I'm using to rest is time wasting. But it's not time wasting to spend time on yourself. If you don't, it's more likely that you can crash. When I'm stressed, I don't perform well. That's when you see me do the bare minimum because I'm not even in the optimum stage to perform. And that's why before I used to go into all my exams back in the days, I used to always make sure that the day before, bubble bath, sleeping, watching movies, eating. I never used to try and cram down all my work in a day because I just knew that if I did that, when I wake up to go to the exam, my head would be crowded. So that was one tactic I always used. At the end of the day, stress does affect people. Sometimes it even goes as far as to affect people's health. So you always have to ask yourself, is it worth it for me to crash rather than just take a simple break, recharge my energy and get back to work, you know? So yeah, different things that you can do for breaks. For me, look, this is generic. And somebody told me, when I told them that this is what I do, they were like, yeah, no, this is like generic. There's no way I'm doing all of that. But okay, look, I just order some food, right? Or I make myself some food, you know, put on some music, you know, eat my favorite food, watch a movie, get dressed into my pajamas, do skincare, take a shower. So Khadija says, take a bath. And you know what? It's true. It's true. When I was at home last week, I was feeling stressed. I had some intervals where I was feeling a bit overwhelmed. But the moment I took a shower and I would come out of the bathroom, safe and sound. So it really does work for some people, but it worked for me. So Jolomi Anthony says, pray about it and cast all your cares onto God. He has a plan for your life. Trust him. Yeah, to be honest, the times that I do pray, I do feel better as well. I feel more like, okay, cool. You know, I'm going to get there eventually. Things are happening as they should. This is God's plan for me. I feel a bit more at peace rather than it all being in my own hands. So I definitely get that. So yeah, breaks can also include things like solo dates. I've been looking around social media and I've been seeing a lot more people are going on solo dates. That's just the concept of not having to wait for your friends before you go somewhere, before you travel, before you take yourself out, before you do something nice. You don't really have to wait for your friends. You can take yourself on a solo day. And I know that those can be so relaxing. I mean, I'm just imagine like a solo trip to the spa or even to the gym or even a walk in the park. You know, all these things can help distract you from what's stressing you out. Sleep early, wake up early. This one is a personal one. I find that for me, whenever I stay awake all night or I stay awake from I stay awake to like 2, even 5 a.m. The next day, I'm always so stressed. I always end up eating later, then maybe end up only eating once that day. All the work that I thought that, okay, yeah, I've done work in the evening. I end up doing nothing during the day. And I know that works for some people, but me personally, I like to sleep early, wake up early. The days that I've done that, I've been able to do so many things and I still finished my day early. Tell me in the comments, do you guys sleep early or do you sleep late? And which one works best for you? Don't expect to be able to do it all at once. See, I love doing so many different things. I do so many different things. How do I phrase this? It's more so, don't bite more than you can chew. In order to not feel stressed, it needs to be a thing where you can handle what's on your plate. And some people can handle more than others. So that's a whole nother concept. I can be doing 5 different things and I might be juggling it perfectly, but another person might come and if they try to do 5 different things, they might be feeling stressed and under pressure. Don't do too much more than you can. I was watching one of my favorite YouTubers recently and she was just talking about how she really overworked herself because she took on too much at once. She took on too much on her plate and she ended up crashing and having to quit everything. I mean, it's happened to me even. It's happened to me. I had way too much on my plate. I ended up crashing. I had to quit and streamline so many things down to just a few things. But now that I've done that, I can put most of my effort into it and I still don't need to stress. Next tip, don't procrastinate. If you say you're gonna do something, go and do it, girl. If you say you're gonna do something, go and do it. Give yourself some time. Don't pack everything into 2 days and then say, oh my gosh, I must do it in this time frame. Give yourself time. I even think that time is something that if you had enough of it, you definitely wouldn't be stressed. If things were not under time constraint, I feel like time constraint is one of the elements that create pressure. So that's why you shouldn't pack too many things in a small time frame. And a small time frame for somebody could be 6 weeks. A small time frame could be 2 years. A small time frame could be an hour, depending on what it is you want to do. In terms of deadlines, in terms of school, for those of you that have exams, don't leave your work sitting. Don't leave your work sitting. Spread it out so that you don't have to work and study everything the night before the exam. 2 days before the exam, even a few weeks before the exam might not be enough. So just make sure you give yourself enough time. Obviously, if you've already done it and now you don't have enough time, then just take a deep breath. If it's now out of your control, it's out of your control. Just do what you can, as long as you know you did your best. Now, if it's something else like a business, remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You can't just zoom and next thing you know, your brand sold out 10 times. There's a little bit of a growth process. There's a little bit of a waiting time. So just expect that. It's not for everybody. Some people, they do just boom, launch, and the next thing you know, sold out, and that's amazing. But for a lot of people, that might not be the case. And while you improve your services to get to that level, you might need to just enjoy the journey, sit back and relax. And just as long as you know you're doing what you're supposed to do, leave the rest to God. Planning. My mom always says this thing. She always says, failing to plan is planning to fail. Sometimes I realize that when I'm stressed, it's because I don't know the order in which I'm meant to do my things. And I just need to have something written down to tell me, okay, this is what I need to do. This is when I need to do it by. But sometimes when I don't have that and it's all swirling around in my head, it makes it so hard and overwhelming. And for a lot of people, if you're not organized or you're not planning effectively, you could be more prone to stress. So I would say for me personally, planning is key, but some people work better when they're more like creatively and they just flow. So it really depends on you. But if you think that, oh, I don't know what to do, everything is just in my head, maybe you just need a to-do list. Next, remember that this situation, the day will pass. You will move on. Think about the way you felt about something before, but today you don't feel the same way about it because the situation passes. Because the situation passes and everything's okay again. For example, when I was doing my A-levels, I would get so anxious and stressed to the point where my heart would be beating every second. All you need to do was say the name of the subject I was studying and boom, 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 my heart would be, jumping out of my chest to the point where my head was physically hurting. Like, I thought, yeah, this is the end of me. There's no coming back. The world is crashing. Some of you may say, oh, it's just A-levels. You're overreacting. But no, they meant a lot to me. And I was thinking, if I don't get into my university, that's it. That's the end of my world. But now, I'm in uni, it's past. I don't feel the same stress when I hear the name of my subjects anymore. My head doesn't hurt when I think of A-levels because the whole situation has passed. And now I'm good. I'm good, I remember one day I had this task I had to deliver to one of my clients. And it was a 1-day task, but it was a big project. And I was a little bit stressed. But by the end of the day, I had managed to complete it. I sent it to my client. And when I woke up the next morning, I was not feeling stressed anymore because the task had passed. So sometimes it's a good thing to know that this stress is not going to last forever. Your situation isn't going to last forever. Whether it's in a few years, things will change, things will be better. Next, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to get a perfect grade. You don't have to have the perfect job. You know, it don't have to be perfect. Get rid of the mindset where it's like, oh, I have to do it to this standard. You just have to do it to what your best is. You just have to do your best. Now, if you haven't done your best, it's more so, okay, I could have done more. Maybe there's more I could do. But if you have done your best and there's nothing more that you could do, then just remember that you don't have to be perfect. Lastly, don't compare your progress. Don't compare your progress and your work with other people, because you don't know how much they've had to work to get where they are. You don't know, what they had to do to get there, whether good or bad. So it's not really ideal to compare with somebody else. Somebody may have grown in 2 days and you may be taking 10 years to grow. We're not all the same. People are not all the same. So we shouldn't try and compare ourselves and say, no, but if it took her 2 days, then it should take me 2 days. No, that's not how it works, You can only do the best that you can do. Comparing yourself is definitely going to put stress on you and add pressure. You might say she is the top of the class, she has all the best grades. You start to compare yourself, you're going to feel a lot of pressure, and that could contribute to your stress. Wow. This topic here is a little bit complicated because you really don't know what people are going through. You don't know why they're feeling stressed. Everything I've said today, I've said some, general tips on how to overcome stress. But truly, some people's stress is for more serious matters. I hope that the tips that I did give was useful, at least to an extent. Cool. So, my product of the week, my recommendation this week is actually not a physical object. Neither is it a food or a drink or a vitamin or a jewelry. My recommendation this week is a movie. I watched this movie called Free Guy on Disney Plus, and it was this guy who found out he was in a video game, but he found out that he wasn't even the main character. He was an NPC. If you didn't know, then NPC stands for non-player character, and he managed to work his way up to becoming the main character. And I was just like, damn, I don't know. It was just so interesting to watch. It was so interesting to see, and it kind of represented the concept of just, you think that that's where you're meant to be in life. You think that that's the position you're in. Maybe people have boxed you in that position and you can't come out, but that's just not true. I don't know. I would say you guys should give it a watch. It was really interesting. I loved it. Now, for positive affirmations this week. I can do anything I put my mind to. I'm up to the task. Success is inevitable. And with that, I wish you all a good rest of the week. And I will see you in Call Me SoSo episode 3, which should be coming out in probably around the 2nd or 3rd week of May. So I will see you guys soon. Until then, bye for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And please follow Call Me SoSo podcast on Instagram so that you can send me voice notes when I post the questions. And we can make these discussions a lot more interactive and, fun and engaging. But I can't do that by myself unless you guys send me voice notes. Then we can have a good discussion. Okay, and with that, I would say, bye, darlings. Mwah.